If you think that Truman made the right decision, you're an actual imbecile. Truman dropped the atomic bomb on the Morley civilian area, and just resulting in killing hundreds of thousands civilians, and it didn't even end the war. So why would Truman drop it there? I have an idea. Truman did not care for how many people he put to pain and suffering. Truman did not care for how many war crimes he committed. There were probably kids saying, please don't let me die here, or please let me have one more day with my family. And now looking at this picture, Truman, this is a baby dying, melting away while the atomic bomb is dropped. This is what you call justice? This is what you call, AKA, protecting our land? Now this is a man's skin peeling completely off due to the atomic bomb. They didn't even try to invade. They didn't do nothing. They just dropped the bomb and killing over 300,000 civilians. Now this is going to be a short And that's what you call justice? Dropping the atomic bomb and killing all those people. So if you think that Truman still made the right decision, good luck.
Imagine another human sexually slaving you, starving you, and doing experiments on you like you're a lab rat. You are sort of swallowing from crying every day because a Japanese soldier has decided to abuse his kind just for a petty desire to grow their empire. This was a point of view of many Americans during World War II. To provide justice for his people, President Harry S. Truman has to drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan, and even then they were thinking of surrendering. Many people argue if President Truman made the right decision to drop the atomic bomb on Japan. Well, he absolutely did. This led to the decision that President Truman gave Japan many chances to surrender. He needed to save his people from suffering, and he needed to save their futures. Now let my team express to you why President Truman made the right decision.
My first reason why Truman made the wrong decision is because there were alternative options. For example, he could have used bombs to scare Japan and make them surrender, and show the world that they had this horrible weapon that they did not use. The Frank Report does an excellent job at demonstrating what this alternative option could have done. A demonstration of the new weapon might best be made before the eyes of the representatives of the United Nations on the desert or barren island. If the United Nations come to an agreement, then we are ready to renounce the use of the bomb and want an establishment of efficient control. Document D beautifully shows what this alternative option could have done.
The second argument for being against the atomic bombs is that they were not just instant city killers. There was pain, suffering, and trauma endured by the civilians. As Akira Tashihashi story perfectly hides, the burning heat and blinding light endured by the survivors. He also saw somebody else's skin peeling off their body, his own included. He also lost a lot of family members this day, and this continues to haunt him. His testimony should serve as a stark implication of the use of the atomic bombs.
My third reason why Truman made the wrong decision is because he did not care who he killed. They could be children, early doctors, nurses, judges, and priests. He killed every innocent person, making them suffer like hell. For example, in document G, it states, I saw a man whose skin was completely peeled off his upper body half, and whose eyeballs were sticking out, and a mother and a baby who was just lying there with their skin completely torn apart. This shows that the bomb killed everyone, even then a mother and a baby that did not have part of this was still put to suffer.
Firstly, Truman's decision was made on the fact that Truman gave Japan many chances and warnings to surrender, but they didn't comply to protect their pride based on them not losing war. In document B, it states, the principal objective of the United States during the summer of 1945 was the complete and prompt surrender of Japan. There was a very strong possibility that Japan might choose to resist to the very end. Followed by the statement made in the background essay, the U.S. warned Japan that it faced prompt and utter destruction unless it surrendered at once. Japan refused. To sum this up, the article, Surrender of Japan, made by the technological source Wikipedia states, for the Japanese, surrender was unthinkable. Japan had never been successfully invaded or lost the war in its history. In high-level meetings in May, the Big Six first seriously discussed on ending the war. but none on terms their allies would agree on. Because anyone openly supporting Japanese surrender risked assassination by zealous army officers. This evidence shows how President Truman gave an effort to avoid dropping the atomic bombs, but Japan made things difficult by going against Truman's pleas of surrender just because they didn't want to seem weak or incapable. To conclude, if Truman did not drop the atomic bomb, Japan would resist surrendering, risking hundreds of thousands of lives just to protect their country's ego. Secondly, President Truman's decision was ultimately correct since President Truman saved the United States from more agony and saved their future. In document F, it states, we have used it in order to shorten the agony of war. We have used it in order to save the hundreds and thousands of lives of young Americans. In an article called Japan's Plan, it explains what Japan would have done if they would have won the war. It states, it then would fight a decisive battle, leaving America's forces bloody, and forcing America to negotiate peace and leave Japan's government, emperor, and old power. Lastly, an intergovernmental organization states that Japan made many atrocities during World War II. It states, Japanese atrocities include cannibalism, inhuman experiments, and rape of many American non-combatants. This shows how President Truman dropping the bomb was needed to end the war so Japan could not win and drive America to shambles.
President Truman's decision to drop the atomic bomb was influenced by how Japan disobeyed the international laws of warfare. In document F states, we have used it against those who have attacked us without warning in Pearl Harbor, against those who have beaten, starved, and executed Americans prisoners of war, against those who have abandoned the presence of obeying international laws of warfare.
Ashley, you said that Truman gave a warning. Truman may have given a warning, but he did not explain it thoroughly. He did not bring up the bombs or anything related to them. The only thing he promised was utter destruction. So you tell me, if you are told that you're going to be utterly destroyed by what seems to be approximately nothing at all, then are you going to throw in the towel? Are you going to surrender and accept defeat? Or are you at least going to try to ensure your leader's safety?
Ashley, you said that the atomic bomb was needed to end the war. But in the background essay, it is said that there was no reason to believe that the bomb could have ended the war. And my rebuttal is against the bomb because it didn't end the war immediately. If the bomb ended the war immediately, then why did Japan surrender immediately? Why was Japan still suffering? Why was Japan slowly starving and dying due to the nuclear radiation? Evidence for this is in a background essay in which it states, on August 9th, the second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. On that same day, the Soviet Union entered the war against Japan. On August 15th, Japan surrendered unconditionally. By using this evidence, we can say that even after the second bomb, it still took 6 days for Japan to surrender.
Juan, you had said that we had killed multiple Japanese civilians, but you guys are acting like you guys hadn't done the same when you guys had attacked Pearl Harbor with no warning. You guys killed grandpas, moms, dads, or whatever, with no warning. And also, Japanese civilians aren't Truman's problem. Like, is Truman the president of Japan? No, right? All right then.
So Dylan, you said it still took them 6 days to end the war, correct? Okay, so even though they were suffering and they know they were losing the war, why didn't they surrender? It's because out of a sense of pride. Out of a sense of pride, they started the war, and out of a sense of pride, they choose not to end the war. This is what you caused. Nobody told you to start Pearl Harbor. Well, nobody told you to attack Pearl Harbor. And nobody told you to start a war that you would end up losing. So the bombing on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were necessary.
After all this, if you still think that Truman's decision was the right decision, you're still the imbecile that you were at the beginning. because of the Truman's decision was still not the right word because all the pain and suffering and the unnecessary destruction that he caused. He started the unnecessary destruction on the Japanese cities Hiroshima and Nagasaki, all caused by a man's misguided judgment. In an attempt to save, only ended in an inferno of nuclear hellfire warheads. And we shall always stand by the fact that Truman's decision was the wrong decision.
Justice is the quality of being fair and equitable. Truman needed justice for the people who were harassed, raped, and so much more. And that's exactly what Truman delivered. You can say with no hesitation that Truman made the right decision. The whole of America depends on the president. And at that time, it was Truman. Truman needed to protect his country, and that's exactly what he did. His job was not to support Japan's narcissistic ego. His job was not to watch his people suffer, and his job was not to stand there while Japan disrespected America by disobeying war laws. If you're still saying that President Truman's decision was wrong, are you out of your mind? But Truman killed many Japanese people. But what would have happened to America? What would America's future be like? Truman was the president of America, and only America, and he needed to save America. He saved you. Now, you can say with no hesitation that President Truman made the right decision.